Hi YouTube, it's Kathy, and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for September 29th through October 5th. This week I read 6 books, I watched 1 show, I listened to 1 book, and I listened to 1 concept album. Holy shit, I got through that. It only took 5 minutes. I usually don't talk about the music I listen to because I don't listen to a lot of music, but somebody recommended this album in the comments of the Queer Books video I did with Adriana and Brody, so I figured I would listen to it and I'll talk about it at the end. First, I finished Now, a Major Motion Picture. This is a fantastic nerdy read that I very much enjoyed. Iris is the granddaughter of a popular fantasy novelist. She wrote a trilogy that is basically the feminist version of Lord of the Rings. Growing up, Iris wasn't allowed to read these books, so she doesn't really get the fandom, and she has another really good reason to not like the fans. Unfortunately for her, the fandom now has the possibility of growing much bigger because they are actually making the first book into a movie. Because her little brother really wants to go, she's chaperoning a trip to the set for the movie in Ireland. That's the basic setup and all I really want to give away in this basic wrap-up because that's pretty much all I knew going into it. It's probably even more than I knew going into it, knowing me. I don't tend to know things before I read the books. This book had a lot of layers to it. It was about this family legacy, these different family dynamics, the found family dynamics of people working on a project together, the fandom, all of these things all came together. There was also queer representation on the page, pansexual representation, which is very rare to find. And this book was written by the non-binary author Cory McCarthy, who I just now realized is the other name on Once and Future, which I haven't read yet, but it's Amy Rose Capetta, Cory McCarthy. I'm pretty sure they're a couple. Apparently I just need to read all of their things because I've never read anything by either of them before. This wrap-up is honestly a mess. Next, I finally finished The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. This is a classic horror. It was written in the 50s. It's something I've heard of before. There have been several adaptations, and I mostly picked it up now because a friend of mine read it and recommended it because you could read it as the internal struggle of being bisexual, which I'm sure I could have if I didn't keep falling asleep while reading it. I think this mostly has to do with me not really enjoying Shirley Jackson's writing style. I've read one of her other books before, it was similar writing and I just didn't really enjoy it. I just didn't really get the hype. Additionally, a lot of this book reads as boring small talk, which for an introvert is just insufferable, so I did not very much enjoy my experience. This week I also read Ladycastle. This is a fantastic graphic novel about these women who live in a castle, and all of the men have gone off to find a prince for the princess who's being kept in a tower since she was 12 years old. With the exception of one knight, all of the menfolk are killed on this quest. That knight comes back and lets them know that they've been killed. Somebody else now has to become king, and it's one of the women. But because the previous king was being a dingus while he was out there, there's now a curse on the castle, so all of these supernatural creatures keep showing up and trying to kill them, and they solve their problems mostly with logic. It's great. In addition to the story just being completely wonderful, there are sections where there's characters singing, but if you pay attention to like the cadence of what they're singing, you realize they're singing to the tunes of popular songs. I didn't go back and reread the first couple of songs, but the one that I noticed at first was definitely, it was set to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and the next one was set to a song from Hamilton. And if you know me, you know I like it when I see small pop culture references just popping up in things unexpectedly. The other graphic novel I read this week was Pumpkinheads by Rowell. This was just so sweet and adorable. This one's about 2 friends who have worked the last 3 seasons at this pumpkin patch, and when I say pumpkin patch, I mean this is a huge pumpkin patch. Not only are there pumpkins for picking, but there's also corn mazes and sacotosh, which I don't even know what that is, but it sounds amazing. There's pumpkin pie. It's a huge operation. The entire time they work together, he's been crushing on this one girl that works at one of the other booths, and since it's the final night of their final season there, his friend decides that he is finally going to talk to this girl, and it's all about this adventure of going to find this girl and finally talk to her. I loved everything about this. I loved the adventure element. I loved the art. It was absolutely beautiful. I loved that the main character was bisexual and was occasionally just running into exes of different genders, and it was interesting because of that secondhand embarrassment thing, but other than that it was just seen as completely normal. I saw the twist coming, I wanted the twist to happen, and was very happy when it did. This week at random I also picked up The Strange Library. This book I picked up off the library shelf because it comes in a very weird format, and because I wanted something fairly short to read in the bathtub on Wednesday. The best way to describe this book is it feels like a modern day fairy tale. Essentially, this little boy goes into the library to return some books and wants to get out some other books and is sent to this section of the library he's never been to before and basically gets trapped there. Since this is really short, I don't want to give away any more of the plot, but if you're looking for something strange and in a very interesting mixed media format, definitely take a look for this one. Speaking of strange and interesting formats, the other book I read was Horrorstör by Grady Hendrix. This is something I've wanted to pick up for so long, but I keep thinking, no, I have to pick it up in October because it's something scary, and I'm so glad I finally got around to it. The interesting design feature of this book is it looks like it's an IKEA catalog, which makes a lot of sense because it takes place in a big box store called Orsk, which is very much like IKEA but cheaper apparently. And as you're going through, every chapter starts with a different item from the store and its design features. I also very much enjoyed that all of the SKUs for the items included the number 666 at some point. This book is about people working retail in one of these big box stores, but every day they come in and things have been destroyed overnight, so essentially a few of them are going to stay overnight to see what is happening, and it gets horrific from there. There aren't too many things in life that completely gross me out and make me have like a visceral body reaction, but one of those things is when people talk about snot. That's just one of those things where I can like taste it when people talk about it. In this book there was a section where there was a lot of snot happening, and I'm having the reaction right now just thinking about it. And yeah, this book almost made me throw up. So if that's not an endorsement for a horror novel, I don't know what is. I have to calm down. On to what I watched this week. I watched the second episode of the 39th season of Survivor, which is the current season. This season is so interesting so far. I'm really enjoying. People are really coming to play, and we've already had blindsides, we've already had twists, we're already having this whole Island of the Idols things, which I find so fascinating. And I honestly just can't wait to see how the season is going to go. I did also technically watch some episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine this week, but they were all repeats because when we were away last weekend, we were watching it on somebody else's system, and the episodes were out of order. So basically we were trying to figure out where we were in the order, and we just ended up rewatching a bunch of episodes we'd already seen, which was fine. The book I listened to this week was American Street by Zoboi. This is about a woman who is coming from Haiti with her mother. She was born in America, so she gets in easily, but her mother was not, so is taken aside and they are essentially separated at the airport. So when she arrives at her final destination, her mom is not there. Fortunately, she's being picked up by her cousins and goes home to her aunt, and her aunt says, I will figure this out, it will be fine, but we've got to get you ready for school, because she's going into her senior year of high school. From there, the plot escalates rather quickly. There are a lot of ins and outs of this plot, and again, I'd rather you just go into it not knowing too much and then just see what happens. This book plays a lot with morality because she is given a chance to get her mom into the country properly, but has to do this other thing to make it happen, and whether or not she should do that, and whether or not it even makes sense that the police would be able to ask her to do that. There's all these gray areas. There's also her just trying to figure out the culture divide. There's a romance thrown in there as well. It's a very busy novel. A lot of things happen, and there is a touch of magical realism as well. And I thought all of these elements came together rather beautifully. The album I listened to this week was the 2017 version of Hadestown. This is an Orpheus and Eurydice retelling set in the Great Depression in a mining town, and it was really good music. I'm not the biggest audiophile, so I can't tell you the exact styles that were used, but I really enjoyed the use of horns. There were a lot of horns in this. And I've had the songs popping into my head every once in a while, so that's how you know I really enjoyed something if it keeps popping up. Something I appreciated is I didn't know until the very end whether or not it was going to be a straight retelling of what happened in that myth, or if the ending was going to be changed, and I really enjoyed how it ended. So you know, you'll have to listen to it to find out if you haven't already done so. That's it for this week. If you've read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!